Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I am going to be doing a review video on the Too Faced Sweet Peach palette. And I know this is a little bit like long time coming. I wanted to make sure that I had a good review of this for you. I wanted to make sure that I used it enough times to really know how I felt about it. Just outside of the fact that it's Too Faced and I generally love these palettes, I wanted to make sure that I was going to give you guys a well-rounded review. And I did get a bunch of other palettes and stuff in the time since I've had this, so I've been trying out other things as well, so it's a little bit late. I'm sorry. I hope you guys still find this helpful because I do know that it's still being sold, and I will link it below where I can find it. To get started, I am going to give you my review and my thoughts on it, and then I'm going to do some swatches at the end. So, first things first, the packaging is adorable and amazing, and I love the ombre effect. I love this color. I love all the peach and pink. This is amazing to me. I love this. And when you open it, it's a typical Too Faced palette in a tin, except that unlike the last few that have come out, these areas here are not designated as giant highlighters. They are now reduced to regular size shadow pans of different colors, and I think that is a good move on Too Faced part because I never understood having the giant highlighters. Like, I just didn't get it. It was never something that I saw myself using enough to need a double size highlighter. So I'm glad that they cut that in half and decided to put 2 more shades in. Now, for the quality of these shadows, I love Too Faced shadows. I am a huge fan of them. I noticed in my original chocolate bar palette that I did experience a little bit of fading with those colors. I did not notice that in the Too Faced Chocolate Bonbons palette, and I have not noticed that with this one either. I'm not sure if it's a slight formula difference. I love the blendability of these shadows. I love the pigmentation. I don't think there's anything wrong with the shadows themselves. I do think, however, that the whole chocolate smelling shadow worked for something like the chocolate bar palettes because, in a sense, cocoa powder is a powder already. Putting that into a powder shadow makes more sense than whatever they were thinking with peach. There's nothing powdered peach, and you think of peaches as juicy and wet, and I don't know why I thought getting this palette that this would smell like real peaches. You know, like, now that I have it and in retrospect it makes sense that this smells like artificial peach grossness, and the smell is overwhelmingly artificial peach, and it's something that I mentioned in my the makeup look that I did with this palette, which I'll link below if you guys haven't seen it, that even when I dip my brush in and then bring the brush up to my face, I can smell the artificial peach smell on the brush as it passes my nose up to my eye, which is insanity. It's something I almost feel like I want to leave this palette open for like a month and see if the smell dissipates a little bit. But it's also like this is a third bedroom for me. It's a relatively small room, but when I'm done using this palette in the morning and I get up and I leave the room, if I have to come back for something, even though the palette's shut, I can still smell the peach in the room. It like permeates the room, and I think that's just insane. It's something that when I have very watery allergy eyes, so when my allergies are acting up, this palette makes it 10 times worse. My eyes water all day. It's super uncomfortable. But it doesn't induce watering in my eyes on good days where my allergies aren't acting up. But I do notice on days where I'm already experiencing allergies, if I put this on, it gets worse. And I've used it enough times to know that it's not just a bad allergy day. It's always on the day that I'm using this palette. The only other con I can say for this is, for a sweet peach palette, there's no peach. I don't get these colors. I don't understand why there's so many browns. I don't understand why there's purples. I don't understand the green necessarily. I don't understand why there's only technically 3 peach-ish colors and really only the 2. And some other people have pointed that out, and I don't understand. I mean, this looks like any other chocolate palette. You would never think, it looks like any other nude to neutral palette. You would never think, if you only saw the colors in here, oh, that's a peach palette. It makes sense that that smells like peaches because that's a peach palette. It doesn't make sense. I don't understand. I guess I can get the green because the leaf of the peach is green. I get that. But all the other ones, I don't understand. I can understand having, you know, a transition color and a, you know, a color to deepen up. They could have done that with more peach colors. They could have had 2 browns and that's it, but instead they have a plethora of browns and bronzy colors and purples, and I just don't understand what they were thinking. I mean, I really don't understand why there would not be more peach colors in a peach palette. And I do have the chocolate bar palette here and the chocolate bonbons palette to kind of show you that the color scheme is relatively similar. If I can do this, it'll be a miracle. But you just don't see. If you couldn't see the packaging, you wouldn't be like, oh, the top one's totally a peach palette, and then chocolate, and then, you know, they all kind of have a sparkly purple in them. They all kind of have, you know, the same browns in them. A green in the chocolate bar palette in this one. So it's kind of weird that they would come out with this limited edition palette that has so many similar colors as the other palettes have come out with, and also doesn't really match its theme. So I don't know. Like, I love the formulation of these shadows. So for me, I'm glad to have it because, like, I love the shadows and I'll totally wear them. And they're colors that I'll wear. They just aren't colors that match the theme of the palette, so I just don't get it. So it's not so much a con in the sense that you shouldn't buy this because the colors are terrible. It's just, if you were thinking you were gonna get a peach palette, you know, a palette full of warm peachy colors, that's not this palette. And I don't know, it makes like no sense to me. But now I am going to go on the swatches, and I'm gonna do something that I wish I had done in my Violet Voss palette review, because I mentioned it, you know, I touched on it a bit, that the colors on the palette didn't wear on the skin the same way that they swatch. So I think from now on, when I'm reviewing anything, what I want to do is finger swatches and brush swatches so that you guys know not only what they finger swatch like, because almost every eyeshadow finger swatches relatively decent unless it's super powdery or, you know, not very pigmented, but they don't all go on with a brush very well. And that's something that was very, 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 very evident in the Violet Voss palette, that they finger swatched amazing and went on the skin horribly. So I'm gonna kind of go down the rows because I'm just gonna do it on my hand. And I will have, just so you guys know and you don't think I am doing anything crazy while I knock everything on my table over because I'm a slob, I am going to use my color switch, which is just a stippling sponge. I got it for like 50 cents on Amazon. And I am going to use my Sigma Shading E55 brush, and I'm just going to take all the color off in between swatches with my color switch, and then use a makeup remover wipe to remove the swatches, obviously. But just so you don't think I am like tainting the colors or whatever with other colors, I'm not. Okay, so I'm not sure if you're gonna be able to see these because these are the lightest colors and they're basically my skin tone. But I did swatch, finger swatch, brush swatch, finger swatch, brush swatch, finger swatch, brush swatch, and if you can see these on my arm, you can see they're basically the same. They're a little bit lighter in the brush swatches, but not very much, and some of them perform even better with the brush. So, okay, and if you can see that luscious here, Cobbler here, and Georgia here. And you can see Luscious is a little bit brighter in the finger swatch, but they all perform well either way. And again, you can see Just Peachy, Candied Peach, and Caramelized, and Just Peachy performs a little bit better on the finger swatch, but still not that bad. Candied Peach is the same way. It is just slightly lighter in the brush one, and Caramelized is almost exactly the same finger or brush. So like I said, these are good quality shadows. I'm not doing this, you know, to knock this shadow in any way. I just think that we rely so much on finger swatches when that's not really how they look when you put them on the eye. So just trying to be helpful. And you can see in this one, they all perform pretty well. I can't really find a fault with any of them. I did notice using Bless Her Heart on my eye in the tutorial I used that on camera it doesn't really turn up, or on your eye it doesn't really turn up as green as much, but that might also be because of the colors I used around it. Tempting, Peach Pit, and Summer Yum. Tempting was actually really hard to build up. It did take me going in 3 separate times to build that up, and I don't think it's even as built up as the finger swatch. So that is a little bit disappointing, but the other 2 colors perform well. Okay, and in this row is Charmed, I'm Sure, Delectable, and Talk Derby to me. And Charmed, I'm Sure actually performed better with the brush than it did a finger swatch. And I was pretty disappointed with Delectable and Talk Derby to me. Talk Derby to me looks like it's going to be a purple in the pan, but it's actually a black with a purple shimmer. And this one just went on pretty patchy. So those are the only ones that really I can say in this palette I'm not super happy with. How they perform, I think they don't do very well. However, 1 or 2 out of the palette, you're going to kind of have that. In most palettes that either don't work for you or just are a little bit less than the rest of them. And I think partially that is because purples are hard for whatever reason. The pigments are hard to get right. I think purples are always a color in palettes that people are like, oh, that looks so awesome, but it just doesn't work very well. I don't know why that is. I know it has something to do with the pigments you have to use to make an eye safe purple. But yes. So, you know, overall, I like the palette. I'll continue to use it. It's something that I'm glad I have for what it is. Would I have been as adamant about getting it as I was now that I've touched it? Maybe not. But it is a beautiful palette. The colors are, you know, they're neutral and they're ones that I would wear and I do wear on a regular basis. So I can't say that I'm like so sad that I got it, but in terms of it being a limited edition themed palette, it doesn't really live up to that. So it's something that if you see it, if you're at Sephora or Macy's or wherever they're selling it now, and you see it out and you touch it and you like the colors, totally go for it. It's totally worth it as a palette. It's a, you know, it's a great set of shadows that are pigmented and blendable and buttery and soft and beautiful and nice. It's just not, I don't know, it's just not what I think many people were expecting because it is just not a peach palette. I don't know. That will forever stump me and I will not understand. It is what I'm wearing on my eyes today. It's something that I've worn quite a bit. You know, again, I'm not sad that I have it. Overall, I give it about a 7.5 to 8 out of 10. And I think that the reason that it gets a lower score like that for me is simply just because, like I keep saying, it doesn't match the theme that it's supposed to be. So I just don't understand why they made such a big deal about it being peach. It smells like peach, all that, and there's like no peach colors in it. It just does not make sense to me. So if it was this, you know, this formula, this butteriness, this pigmentation, you know, all that other stuff, even the smell, I would totally take the smell if it was more peach colors. Yeah, so This one is $49, I believe, like the rest of them usually are. You know, last thing I can mention is that the names are on the inside, which I appreciate. My original chocolate bar palette is not like that, and I'm glad they have made the switch to different packaging so they can do that. But yeah, so that is my review. Don't rush out and buy it, you know, but if you see it and you like it, it's, you know, it's worth having, especially if you don't have any of the other Too Faced bar palettes. It's worth having, you know, just for that reason. But if you do have all of the other ones, you can probably find a lot of similar colors in those. And I know that there are swatches on Instagram, because I've seen them, where people have duped colors in this palette for colors in the other palettes, so in the other Too Faced palettes. So in that sense, it's disappointing. You know, I don't know. I really love their powder products and their eyeshadows. So, you know, again, it's another review where I have a lot of feelings because, like, there's certain things that make me dislike it, but then, you know, as it is and as it performs, I love it, you know, but there's certain, like, behind the scene things, like, that the colors aren't right, and you can find those colors in other Too Faced palettes. Like, I just don't. Again, if you don't have any of the other Too Faced palettes and you want to try one, this is a good one to try. I don't think you will be disappointed in the quality of the shadows or anything like that. But if you do already have them, I might skip it. It's not something that I, you know, would be so super upset that I didn't get, but I am glad that I have it. So that is it. I'm going to stop rambling now. I hope you guys are having a great day wherever you're at. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, give it a thumbs up and please subscribe if you haven't already. If you have, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And lastly, really quick, I do want to kind of address my scheduling stuff. I'm thinking about transitioning into 3 days a week, and I'm not sure yet if that's going to actually work out with my life schedule, but I'm going to try. So I think I'm going to be doing 2 to 3 times a week. The times that I'm going to post 3 times a week, I'll do Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and then times I'm only going to post 2 times a week, I'll do Tuesday, Thursday. So yeah. Just because I know that this week I have been putting up videos on days I don't normally. So you guys know. Just putting it out there. All right. Yeah, I hope you have a great day wherever you're at, and I will see you in my next video. Bye, everyone.